What's happening, my fellow ghouls and ghoulettes? Welcome to a brand new episode of Cosplay Chris, and today it is a screen accurate cosplay guide to Michael Myers and Corey Cunningham. Much like my Halloween Kills cosplay guide from last year, this is going to be the same, but we're going to be including Corey Cunningham for those that want to cosplay, dress up as Corey with the screen accurate coveralls, or find variations that are very similar, because the coveralls that they use in the film are heavily modified and heavily weathered. Now, first and foremost, I just want to give a massive shout out to Myers Cosplay Guide that you can find on Instagram. He's done amazing work and helped with a couple of details here and there that I was unsure about, especially when it came to Corey's costume. So what I'm going to be doing is going through all of what James Stu Courtney wore, as well as Aaron Armstrong, his stunt double, as well as Rowan Campbell's costume. Now, there are some pieces that you can swap out for other pieces, especially the undershirts. I've got my two undershirts here to show you guys what I use as opposed to getting the same make and model ones, but if you want to go all out, by all means do it. I'd love to see your costumes. So first up, we're going to start with James Stu Courtney. Now, of course, James is sporting his Workrite 9.5 ounce coveralls. Now, I've always thought if they've just bought this massive stockpile for the three productions, or every time a new movie comes out, so when Kills was amping up and then Ends was amping up, they've had to go out and find and source more Workrite coveralls, because these things are next to impossible to find at the moment unless they're secondhand. Unfortunately, Workrite no longer makes them, but Legion Safety do a good alternative. They make their replica Workrite coveralls. I have the original pair of Workrite coveralls, and I also have the Legion Safety pair, and I will link the video down below that I made comparing the two. They're pretty damn close, and once you weather up the Legion Safety coveralls, especially if you're doing the Kills treatment, the Ends treatment, they look a treat and they feel a treat. Obviously, this time around with the weathering, they've really amped it up and added mold and stuff like that, and I absolutely love that look. Now, for the boots, James Stu Courtney is wearing the Wolverines from what I can see, but in this pic of Ashley Ray Riddick, who doubled for Jamie Lee Curtis in Ends, there's a photo of her here with James Stu Courtney and Aaron Armstrong. You can see James Stu Courtney's boots, but they don't exactly match up to the Wolverines. I'm not sure if this is the stunt boot or it's just a variation or just something they had lying around. I'm thinking, again, like the coveralls, they might have a stockpile of just boots everywhere. Obviously, in 2018, they used the Activate boots. In Kills, they used the Wolverines. Some shots, I can see the Wolverines in Ends, but these boots here don't exactly marry up to the Wolverines. But if you go on the cheaper route, just get some good old black work boots. They will do the trick. Once the coveralls are covering up everything else, you're not even gonna notice. Now, the undershirt is a gold toe navy heather t-shirt, very basic. Sometimes these things are in stock, sometimes they're not, but the good thing is they are, for the most part, readily available. Now, when it comes to the undershirt I use a shirt very similar in color from Just Jeans here in Australia. I think this thing cost me $25, which is roughly about the same, and it does the trick. Every time I've gone to find the same make and model undershirt, it's always out of stock, but this one works a treat, and also you're only seeing the little V shape there. But again, this is a cosplay guide for people that are wanting to just go all out and get the same make and model pieces if you're able to. Now, the knife is an interesting one. We're going to be talking about the knife that has been in the cave, in the sewer system with Michael for 4 years. The knife is a rusted Chicago Cutlery 44S knife. This is a old vintage knife, and the cool thing is, this was actually the stunt knife from Halloween for the return of Michael Myers. Trick or Treat Studios makes them, and the cool thing is that the weathering is printed on the blade, so you get consistency each and every time. Like, the foundation is there if you want to repaint them, strip it, do all that stuff. They look amazing, and also they're cheap and they're cons safe. You know, they're plastic as opposed to trying to source the vintage real knife. It would still be cool to have the vintage knife nonetheless. Your best bet is going through eBay, searching every day, and usually one or two will pop up here and there, but you got to snag them quick. And of course, when it came to the mask, Christopher Nelson came back along with Vincent Van Dyke, and they sculpted a beautiful mask. And as you can see right there, I finally got my Holy Trinity. My Halloween 2018 mask arrived from Seven Sins Studios, and it's absolutely beautiful. But for the Ends mask, you can get the good old Trick or Treat Studios mask. It comes from production molds and stuff like that. That's what they've always done with these three masks, and repaints it. Have a bit of fun with it. Again, like the coverall comparison video, I will leave the link down below to the custom collectible video I did on the Tots mask. Now, moving on to Corey Cunningham. This is an interesting one, especially when it comes to the coveralls, but first and foremost, let's talk about the Scarecrow mask. Now, unfortunately, this is not a ready-made mask. This isn't a mass-produced mask. This was made custom for production by Christopher Nelson and Vincent Van Dyke. With that being said, I have seen that Nikos Drezios, also known as NAG, has started making the Scarecrow mask. I don't believe they're taking orders at the moment, and it might just be one of those things where you might have to reach out to him. He is on Instagram and Facebook. Just see what the dealio is, if he is going to eventually be offering them, but by far it's the most accurate one I've seen. I've seen other people on the michaelmyers.net forum do paper mache variations that they've whipped up in an afternoon. They look fucking great. They look the part. But the same goes for the Michael Myers mask. If you are going that route with the Corey coveralls, the Corey boots, the Corey knife, and the Michael Myers mask, Trick or Treat Studios is the best way to go. Now, much like the knife that James Hugh Courtney wields, Corey wields towards the end of the film another vintage knife. The knife that he uses is the Echo Eterna chef's knife. Very similar to the Chicago cutlery knife. The handle's just a bit more bulkier, but that nice dry wood grain and an old vintage looking blade. This is a heavy looking knife. Again, like the Chicago cutlery knife, you're gonna have to try your best to find it on eBay, Marketplace, stuff like that. People who are on like forums, even michaelmyers.net, on Facebook and stuff like that, people who may have access to these knives. And there are some people on eBay who just don't know what they have and they just sell it as a vintage knife, having no idea that it has anything to do with a brand new Halloween film. Now, when I was looking at Corey's boots in the film, I was thinking to myself, they look familiar. That design looks like Red Wings, and they are Red Wings. To be specific, they're Red Wing 1907 boots. Still readily available. You can still get them. They're actually a beautiful looking boot. They also look very comfy. Now, the undershirt that Corey sports whilst he's wearing his coveralls is actually from Ralph Lauren. We've got the Ralph Lauren Indigo Jersey Pocket t-shirt. Now, I have something very similar, again, in color, like my James Hugh Courtney one. This is actually from Kmart. I think this cost me $5, which is great. Again, the colors there. I didn't actually buy this for a Corey cosplay. I've always just had this laying around. And it was actually a backup for when my other undershirt for when I cosplay as Michael Myers was in the wash. Again, $5, can't go wrong. Pretty close to the color, but the one that they used in the film was from Ralph Lauren. So Corey's got good taste. And last but not least, and this has been a tricky one, the coveralls. The coveralls that Corey sports in the film are heavily weathered and modified Levi's Stay Loose denim coveralls. And at first when I saw photos of the coveralls and then watched the film, I thought, that can't be them. And then upon closer inspection, checking out details and stuff like that, it's a winner. Like I said, heavily modified. The right breast pocket is completely stripped and heavily weathered. Like the color has completely shifted, almost shifting the texture of it and how it would read on camera. I originally thought these were the coveralls they used because that was the same color, but no, apparently they used the Stay Loose denims and then just heavily weathered them, greased them up, and then modified them. Especially when it comes to checking out the back elastic and stuff like that, everything marries up, which is pretty cool. And then we have a Ghouls and Ghoulettes. That was pretty straightforward. Your cosplay guide to Michael Myers and Corey Cunningham. If anyone does end up cosplaying as Corey and sources all of these pieces, I'd love to see photos, especially when it comes to weathering those coveralls. It looks like a massive undertaking, but holy shit, so fun. Guys, wherever you are in the world, please have yourselves an absolute cracker of a day. I hope you're well. Hope you're happy. Be merry, be silly. And until next time, Ghouls and Ghoulettes, please always remember, cosplayers do it best.